I'll never forget swiping through my phone and seeing this app. ooVoo was one of the first video call apps in the early social media era. By the early 2010s, it was popular amongst teens and young adults. With over 80 million users by 2013, ooVoo tripled their user growth year by year. Even though they were growing in daily active users, they eventually shut down the app because of unprofitability. So how did a company that was one of the pioneers of video chat go out of business? Well, here's how. Top of the morning. It's raining, so I know it's gonna be extra hard to find parking this morning. But we're gonna see one of the top video calling apps that launched almost 2 decades ago. Trying to back up this spot. Here we go. The origins of ooVoo started when Arrow, a remote collaboration software, was bought out by two entrepreneurs in '06. They launched the software for Windows PCs the following year. With Arrow's cloud-based tech, they focused on HD video calling over basic voice or text. Initially, they positioned themselves by offering casual video conversations with messaging as a side feature. This was a contrast from companies like Skype, which took a peer-to-peer approach to calling, with video being a secondary add-on. By starting off with smooth cloud-based tech, it became easier for them to include other features. After moving on to the Mac OS, users had the option to video record and call from landlines, which drew in 1.5 million monthly conferences that year. The next two versions of ooVoo became even better by giving users the option to access the video chat from a web browser. This allowed people to have easy group calls without installing any software. The people at ooVoo were smart. They really fleshed out thinking about the users. Key features like having an open API so developers could embed ooVoo into a third-party app or website was great moves on their part. At a time when things like Apple's App Store allowed developers more access to their ecosystem, ooVoo started evolving in that direction too. Other add-ons such as screen sharing, increased call limits, and cheap per minute calling gave ooVoo a nice leadway to the start of the new decade. This is not parking. With the arrival of the Android app, something like front-facing camera became standard, surging more users on the ooVoo platform, and the same for the iOS app the following year. ooVoo was now fully across all platforms, no matter what kind of device you had. Becoming used primarily by teens, an average user would spend about 200 plus minutes a month on the app. ooVoo's way of marketing to the users was more enticing to what their comp was doing at the time. Users increased as they figured out better ways to bring them over to the app. Now, this was before FaceTime became fully functional into the Apple ecosystem, or WhatsApp really had their video features sharpened. In early 2013, they crossed 75 million users, dropping things like Watch Together at a CES so you could sync watch YouTube vids in a group call, and a fresh mobile update like ooVees for video messages, which included fun filters and the ability to speed dial with 5 friends. They even launched an SDK so developers can put ooVoo video right into games like Flinch. Usage began to triple and teens were obsessed, averaging billions of video minutes a month. By 2014, they hit the Windows Phone too and rolled out another SDK, this time focused on WebRTC. This basically made their video compatible everywhere. There's no parking out here. God damn. And in 2015, they didn't do much but just maintain their cloud service. Okay, I found parking. Yep, I definitely found parking, finally. ooVoo looked like they were unstoppable. By the mid-2010s, users plateaued after that 85 million mark. No more huge surges caused WhatsApp and Facebook to eat into their market share, stealing the teen crowd with better privacy and stickers. You know that high cloud server costs for all that HD action they were doing? They were eating a ton of their revenue. Ads flopped with the younger demographic. Premiums barely moved the needle. They didn't have no big funding, no buyouts, just grinding, privately owned by Kush Technologies. They would keep winning awards, which kept them a little bit relevant. But their daily actives were slipping. Kids cared more about Snapchat streaks and Instagram stories. Fast forward to November 25, 2017, and no longer profitable enough to sustain, shutting it all down after 10 long years and 200 million users. Sometimes I think about if apps like ooVoo and Skype would have been even more dominant post-pandemic. But they never lived to see the day. And in ooVoo's case, it was comfortability. Now, this isn't comfortable in saying they were just towering in dominance, no. But they had a niche and a really strong following and really strong tech for the time. But companies like Facebook, who dealt with countless amounts of privacy issues, knew how to offer an exclusive feature ooVoo's community wanted. And the users jumped ship. Being comfortable kept ooVoo blindsided. They thought their leverage was growth and that it would work out as long as they kept it up. Growth is always just one part. But if there's not a buyer looking at your growth, then it's just numbers on a screen. And ultimately, that's what came to be for them. A short stay for ooVoo, but let me know your thoughts on what you think happened to that app.